Blackwood Station is a vault of cold iron and blue shadows, existing entirely apart from the world of the living. It operates on a singular, rigid principle. The people boarding the Midnight Express never come back, and the ones left behind immediately forget they ever existed. Arthur is the station's only permanent resident. He has lived in a faded blue uniform, pacing the platforms to the rhythm of the arrivals. His only possession is a heavy silver coin, which he rolls across his knuckles with a constant, anxious friction. He is paralyzed by the belief that his wife, Sarah, will eventually return. He refuses to step through the brass exit doors, choosing instead to wait on a platform where time is measured only in fallen leaves and discarded newspapers. This fixation blinds him to the station's true nature. While others forget their loved ones the moment they leave, Arthur clings to a memory keeping him tethered to the same stretch of concrete for a lifetime. The routine breaks when Leo, a 10-year-old runaway, begins sleeping on the benches. Leo is a bright anomaly in Arthur's gray world, a reminder of the child he never had. The boy's presence draws the attention of the conductor. He is the station's final auditor, dressed in a sharp black uniform that cuts through the fog, carrying the scent of damp earth. Arthur seeks help from Elias, the blind ticket master. Elias warns that the station's ledger must be balanced, noting that the emergency mechanisms haven't been touched since the Great Crash of 1921. For Elias, every life is merely a line in an ongoing equation that cannot be altered. This is how the station claims a passenger. The conductor forces a black ticket into Leo's hand, and Elias punches it with a perfectly symmetrical 5-pointed star. Once that star is removed, the boy's departure becomes a mechanical certainty. The station's logic dictates that Leo must board the next train. At midnight, the express rolls in. It makes no sound, no grinding of iron or hissing of brakes. It simply materializes from the fog, its windows radiating a sickly, pale light. Arthur watches Leo approach the threshold. He looks at his broom, then at the trembling boy. The wood clatters against the stone as Arthur finally lets the handle slip from his grip. He sprints forward, diving across the boundary line. Just as the departure whistle shrieks, Arthur grabs Leo by his ragged coat and yanks him back onto the cold platform, stealing a passenger from the train of the dead. The conductor's fury is immediate. To him, this isn't just a rescue, it's a violation of the ledger. The shadows of the station elongate into jagged claws as he reaches to reclaim the boy. Elias steps between them. The old ticket master takes the marked ticket from Leo and steps onto the train himself, offering his own weight to satisfy the station's demand for a soul. The doors seal shut, and the train dissolves into the frost. For a moment, it appears the station's rigid bureaucracy has been satisfied through a simple substitution. The silence lasts only a minute. Then the station begins to fracture. The grand clock stops, and the departure boards shatter inward, raining glass over the platform. The conductor returns with a terrifying realization. Elias was a stowaway, whose time had already expired 80 years ago. On the station scales, a man who was already dead carries no weight. The debt for Leo remains unpaid. The conductor strikes Arthur down and lifts Leo off the ground by his throat. The ledger still demands a life, and the auditor has come to collect. A second blood-red light pierces the fog. A phantom train is barreling down the tracks toward Platform 9, moving at a speed that threatens to level everything in its path. Arthur is battered and powerless. The rules of sacrifice have failed, and he is left facing an unstoppable force of nature, with no weapons and no authority. Arthur sees that he cannot win by following the rules. To save the boy, he has to attack the physical mechanisms of the station itself. He forces himself up and sprints for the ticket booth. He ignores the pain in his chest, smashing his elbow through the glass box to reach the rusted emergency lever Elias mentioned. The lever is frozen by a century of disuse. Arthur plants his boots against the wall and pulls with every ounce of his remaining strength, just as the conductor's hands reach for his neck. With a metallic crack, the lever gives way. Beneath the station, the iron track violently shunts to the left. The incoming locomotive screams against the rails, swerving into a dead-end siding and crashing into the concrete buffers. Arthur has derailed the train and saved the boy. But by breaking the station's mechanism, he has incurred a final personal toll. The conductor demands a fare for Leo's return to the world of the living. Arthur reaches into his pocket and surrenders the silver coin he has carried for 5 years. The object pops open on a tiny hinge. It is a silver locket containing a photograph of Arthur and his wife, Sarah, from a time before the station. As the shadows finally lift from Arthur's chest, the brass badge on his lapel is revealed. It is his own employee ID, and it has been punched clean through with a perfect 5-pointed star. The pieces of the ledger finally align. Arthur wasn't waiting for his wife. He was the one who died in the Great Crash of 1921. He has been a ghost for a century, trapped in a purgatory of his own making, because he could not accept the reality of his own death. On the platform, Leo wakes up and breathes the fresh night air. He walks toward the exit, his memory of the station and the man who saved him already beginning to dissolve. By sacrificing his eternal vigil, Arthur has finally balanced his own account. The scent of spring rain replaces the smell of ozone as he steps onto the golden light of the train, finally ending his shift.